the bears. You get plenty of them around here, especially where the blueberry and raspberry bushes are concentrated. Saw 6 on one backcountry ride through Algonquin Provincial Park the other day, which made for some cool shots. And that's why so many of us ride ADV bikes these days. Because adventure motorcycles have become so ubiquitous, it's hard to imagine that there was a time when they were rare oddities, purchased by a few weirdos who just didn't want to commit to either cruising, sport riding, or going off-road. I remember motorcycle journalists praising the capabilities of these bikes and still not helping sales. Until a certain TV show came along. One of these bikes, which came out way back in 1988, was the Honda Africa Twin, a 650cc V-twin which was based on Honda's Dakar-winning race bike. The Twin grew to 750cc, continued to get updated, and eventually disappeared in 2003. And that might have been it if adventure bikes hadn't exploded in popularity in the 2010s. But they did, and so the Africa Twin was back in 2016 with a 998cc parallel twin in a standard and fully decked out adventure sports version. In 2020, the bike was updated with a larger 1084cc engine, and here we are. I got a chance to put some serious mileage recently on a 2022 top-of-the-line adventure sports model on and off-road, and can tell you it's one of my favorite motorcycles that I ever tested. Stay tuned for the full story, and if you are finding this content valuable, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. It helps the channel immensely. So the Africa Twin comes in 2 trims, the regular model with standard suspension and a 19-liter tank, and the Adventure Sports, which has electronically adjustable suspension, 25-liter tank, taller screen, and several other goodies like cornering lights. Each model can also be had with an automatic dual-clutch transmission which works well but adds just under 20 pounds. My tester had all the bells and whistles, including the auto trans. The engine on all Africa Twins is a 270-degree parallel twin displacing 1084cc and producing 101 horsepower and 77 pound-feet of torque. The acceleration is strong, but not of the slam your eyeballs into the back of your skull type that you get on the Ducati Multistrada or the KTM 1290 Super Adventure, which have larger engines and churn out 175 and 160 horsepower respectively. The Africa Twin gets to 125 miles per hour or 200 kilometers per hour pretty quickly, but after that the acceleration tapers off. Tested on a closed course. And the Africa Twin sounds like a 90-degree V-twin thanks to a 270-degree offset crank. With an accessory can, this bike will sound proper. The Twin has the full suite of electronics including rider modes and 6-axis IMU, which adjusts traction control and ABS braking to different situations. You have Touring mode, which gives you the full power, Urban mode, which tones the power down, Gravel, which adjusts to loose surfaces but still lets you power slide the rear tire a bit, and Off-road, which provides a pretty soft power delivery and traction control suited to trails. Additionally, you get 2 custom modes which you can dial into your own TC and ABS preferences. The electronically adjustable suspension on the Adventure Sport has around 9 inches of travel front and back and is push-button adjustable for rider, luggage, and passenger riding. It also adjusts automatically to various riding situations. In Tour mode, the suspension is sporty and tight. I've ridden Africa Twins that felt soft and vague in the forks, but found this one to be sharper. It's capable of tearing up a twisty road, but keep in mind that this is a heavy and tall bike with a 21-inch front wheel and long travel suspension. Sporty, yes, but not a sport bike or sport naked. I found the seat height surprisingly accessible for this sized bike. At 33.5 inches, the seat on the Adventure Sports is a full inch lower than the one on my Tenere 700. And even Brooke was able to touch down on both sides. Her inseam is in a 30 to 31 inch range barefoot. However, smaller riders should keep in mind that these bikes aren't terribly light, with the base model's wet weight coming in around 500 pounds and the Adventure Sports equipped with the DCT tipping the scales at 550 pounds wet. Also, when you dial up the suspension to rider, passenger, and luggage, the seat raises noticeably. These are tall and rather top-heavy motorcycles, so caution is needed. The display is well thought out, intuitive, and can be Bluetooth to your phone and headset, so you can call, talk, and display your maps for navigation. Thoughtfully, Honda included an extra bare bones display underneath so you can still read your speed and gear while running a map on the main screen. Very Dakar nav tower, and I found it pretty cool. The mirrors were wide and very smooth at any RPM, so visibility was never an issue. This is not the first Honda DCT bike I've ridden, and I've been impressed with the speed of the shifts. I'll admit to being an old dog and not liking new tricks, but in the case of the DCT, I'm willing to make an exception. You can adjust the shifting from drive, which favors fuel economy, to sport, which holds the gears quite a bit longer and lets the bike rev out before shifting. You can also shift manually with a couple of paddles, but not being used to this, I didn't try the feature. The shifts were so quick and smooth that they were barely noticeable and didn't upset the bike at all in corners. Why get an automatic? You don't have to, but for riders with arthritis in their hands, sitting in traffic and riding a clutch may be painful and may make motorcycling a chore. The DCT is a lifesaver and is also available on the Rebel 1100, the NC 750X, and the Goldwing. How does it compare to manual shifting? In some ways it's better and in some ways worse. It's pretty convenient in most road situations and surprisingly capable off-road. On wider, flowy trails, it just chugs along, letting the rider concentrate on line choice without worrying about shifting. Especially convenient when standing, which requires you to change the position of your left foot to shift gears. I was shocked at how easily this motorcycle handled ATV trails with no worry about stalling up particularly steep hills. Where the DCT can be at a disadvantage is in tight turns, either on very tight single track or in parking lots. As in any automatic vehicle, the throttle is either on or off, which does not give the rider the same control as feathering the clutch. Lower speeds are slightly harder to modulate, and on single track the bike is a handful, as this is where a rider controls speed more with the clutch than the throttle. Whether you'll go for the DCT or the standard is up to you. The DCT is a bit heavier, better on open flowy roads and trails and while standing, but not as good in the tight stuff. Also, it requires you to rewire your brain from blipping the throttle, which would launch you into who knows what. On pavement, the Adventure Sport is a wonderful travel companion. It is comfortable and provides very good weather protection. The windshield is adjustable and I ran it in the low position while off-road for max visibility, but kept it up on pavement to keep the bugs off the helmet. In the upper position, the top of the shield is just below my field of vision, though it may appear higher on the GoPro, which is mounted lower. The bike handles well and holds a solid line through a corner. It's heavy and not terribly nimble, but the wide bars provide lots of leverage for direction changes. On gravel, the Adventure Sport shoots right along, with gravel mode allowing for some limited power slides and sliding the rear wheel. The tires are probably 80% road, 20% off-road, but have decent traction and allow for good corner speeds. I didn't push as hard as on my own bikes, but given the nanny electronics, you can probably absolutely fly on gravel. And for such a big bike, I was shocked how well the Africa Twin Adventure Sports did on the rougher trails. In off-road mode, the generous suspension soaked up the bumps, and the plentiful ground clearance, about 8¼ inch, prevented too much contact with the roots and rocks. The bike confidently chugs down rocky or sandy trails, and as stated before, the DCT makes standing easy and stalls on steep hills are a distant memory. The 21 and 18-inch wheels have plenty of grip and roll over surprisingly rough terrain. If you ride this bike off-road a lot, I would recommend getting wider foot pegs, as the stock ones are definitely too small. And while the bike is amazingly capable for such a heavy machine, the weight and height of it does come to bite you in the butt when you get overconfident, as I found out to my detriment. Ironically, I rolled over some seriously tough terrain only to drop it on some flat gravel. Once this much mass starts going over, it ain't stopping. Embarrassing to scratch up a borrowed bike. Get the engine guards to protect those pretty plastics. Also, don't take a bike like this on twisty single track. The weight shows, and due to the lack of a clutch, the abrupt throttle makes the tight turns dicey. I made it through without incident, but didn't want to do any more single track after that. The bike just isn't built for it. As a tourer though, this motorcycle is brilliant. Set the cruise at a high speed and enjoy the creature comforts. Good seat, roomy seating position, plenty of luggage options, enough power, great suspension, impressive handling, cool Dakar-inspired looks, and fuel economy and range that will blow your mind. 500 kilometers or 300 miles is what you'll get out of the 25-liter tank if you're absolutely wringing this bike's neck trying to play Rossi in sport mode. Take it easy in drive mode, and 600 kilometers is realistic. Passenger accommodations are generous, and Brooke was super comfy on the back with large grab rails to hold onto. It's also nice to see a standard luggage rack and solid metal bash plate included on an adventure bike, as they should be. Yep, versatility is the name of the game here. So what's the competition for this machine? Well, the standard twin sits closer to the 900cc ADV bikes in weight, price, and performance, while the Adventure Sports takes on the 12 to 1300cc machines like the Triumph Tiger 1200, KTM 1290 Super Adventure, Yamaha Super Tenere, Harley-Davidson Pan America, Ducati Multistrada, and the king of the class, the BMW R1250 GS. In that crowd, the Adventure Sports falls behind in the power department but makes up for it by being better and easier to ride off-road than most of the others. And by being a Honda. Yep, I said it. I love the reliability and huge dealer support that comes with buying a Honda. I'm biased toward Japanese bikes, guilty as charged. They've never stranded me anywhere. However, the lack of a shaft drive, which the Triumph, Yamaha, and BMW have, will hurt the Africa Twin in the eyes of many big bike adventure riders. Price-wise, the Adventure Sports is competitive in its class, running $17,300 US, $20,800 Canadian for the manual version, and $1,000 Canadian or $800 US extra for the DCT. All US bikes rock the sweet tricolor, while the manual Canadian bike comes in black. I have to admit, this is the loaner motorcycle I've enjoyed the most out of any bike I've ridden. It can do just about anything except for hardcore off-roading, but it's just not built for that. In this crowded class, you're used to brain-melting acceleration, and you won't find that here, but 100 horsepower is plenty for me. Any more, and the devil on my shoulder would lose me my license. It's cool to have a comfortable 2-up sport tour which can take you into the backwoods and hang out with the bears or just visit beautiful places. And so Brooke and I took one last trip with the Africa Twin towards the end of our time with it and rode it to one of the most beautiful places we know. We've seen these cliffs from the bottom when we canoe camped on this river a few years ago, and now we got to experience them from the top. And that's why adventure bikes are so popular. To get to this place, you have to do about 70k of loose gravel, and I wouldn't be taking a Goldwing out there. Hard to argue with motorcycles that can almost do it all. Which bike in this versatile class appeals to you? How important are shaft drive, Japanese reliability, or Dakar looks? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget the bear spray like I did on my ride. Ride safe.
If you're interested in any of the gear that Brooke and I wear or use, or the camera equipment we use to film this channel, the links are below. Everything listed there was bought with our own money, and we are not sponsored by any company. However, the links below are affiliate links, and the channel is paid a small amount for referring you to shop at no additional cost to you. We do not recommend any products that we are not satisfied with ourselves, but we do strongly urge you to do your research and select the correct size for items like helmets and clothing. As always, thanks for watching, your support is greatly appreciated. Please hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. And whatever you ride, enjoy it. Wave at other bikers no matter what they're riding. We're all part of a brotherhood and sisterhood. Keep the rubber side down, shiny side up, and may the spokes be with you.